show for you today. We're talking men's ice hockey. We got Mike, the Fisher-Price model, Marchese, Mark Schwartz, the profound mound of sound, Nick Dench, the giant, and I had no nickname for Matthias Gao, so I'm just calling him the enforcer.
I think I'll take it.
You like it? Perfect.
We'll run with it.
All right, men's ice hockey is covering not only campus news, but they're covering national college hockey news. They remained the #1 team in the USCHO poll, despite losing to St. Lawrence 2-1 on Friday. So my question to all of you is, do they deserve that #1 ranking still, Mark?
I think that they do. I think that they've done enough this year to warrant that ranking. It took a little while for them to actually get it. There's been a lot of debate over the last month whether they actually were going to get it. And then they finally got it a couple of weeks ago, and now they've been able to retain it. Granted that they did lose against St. Lawrence this past weekend. They did beat Clarkson. The other two teams that could fight for that #1 overall ranking also lost this past weekend. In Minnesota, losing to Notre Dame, and you had, Miami losing to Notre Dame, and Minnesota losing to Wisconsin. So I think that the team still deserves it. They've earned that right after not losing for the better part of 3 months, and we'll see how far that they can keep it.
All right, Matthias.
I think at this point you have to. They have the best record in college hockey. They're #1 in the pairwise. They have the most wins. Their goalie is hands down the best goalie right now in the country, is the hottest goalie, and yes, they did stumble once, and for 3 months span, they had not stumbled. So they have a little blip on the radar, albeit against the #1 line in the country in St. Lawrence's top line. So, if you had to lose at some point, at least you had to lose to a productive offensive team like St. Lawrence.
Michael.
I agree with both the co-directors of the KBSN with the fact that they had that streak for so long and for it to come to an end, but also with Wisconsin able to pull off the upset, Notre Dame being able to pull off the upset. I think they earned the right. They were fighting for so long to become that #1, but since everyone else lost and since they have the record to prove it, they have a better record than everyone else, they still have earned the right to keep that #1 ranking.
All right, and bringing up the rear is the big baby, Nick Dench.
Big Baby's pushing it a little bit. But you guys have hit on everything. They have earned it. They are the best team in the country record-wise. They only have 4 losses. Eric Hartzell breaking the program record for wins in a season now with 22. Definitely a first-team All-American at this point in the season. This team's offense really not where you would think a #1 team's offense would be, but their defense is getting it done, and Eric Hartzell is a huge reason for that. And there was a lot of controversy after all top three teams lost. So, you really can't change it if all 3 teams lose, and I think USCHO made the right decision.
All right, so we all agree that the men's ice hockey team still should be #1 in the polls. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, and I know all 4 of you gentlemen know what this Friday is, and I assure you everyone watching knows what this Friday is. You all scrambled last night to try and get your Yale tickets. It's the nationally televised NBC Sports Network Yale hockey game, the one everyone looks forward to all year, but this year it carries a little bit extra weight. Quinnipiac, when they were the #2 team in the country, went to Yale and beat them, not just beat them, but shellacked them 6-2 in their own building. Now Quinnipiac's the #1 team in the country, and Yale is the #13 team in the country. What are we expecting out of this game? I'm going to throw this one wide open. Whoever wants to take it can.
I think I'm going to start with this one. I think I expect another shellacking. Quinnipiac coming off a tough weekend. They're back to the way they were playing, defensive-minded. Their offense, not where it is, but they are going up against Yale's backup goalie in Nick Marich. Jeff Malcolm out for the season with an injury that he sustained the day before they played Quinnipiac. So, I'm assuming the same thing. Quinnipiac's fans are going to be raucous this weekend, knowing it is the #1 team in the country again. It's on NBC Sports Network, and we always show up for that game.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. There's no doubt about it. The interesting thing about this game coming up with Nick Marich in net is that Marich was the same guy that was in net at the QU Yale game last year at the bank, and Marich put up, 40 saves to earn a 2-2 tie? This is a guy that has proved that he could play against Quinnipiac. Granted, he had a bad game against the Bobcats a couple of weeks ago at Ingles Rink, and he hasn't been playing with a lot of confidence over the last couple of weeks since Malcolm went down, but he's still a guy that if he's able to get his stuff together, get his head right, he could put up a good game, and it'll be an interesting matchup. I think that Yale's going to come out motivated. They're going to be in a raucous environment, but I think that's going to help motivate them. And they're going to be playing against the #1 team. They want some revenge. I think that Quinnipiac will be able to walk away with the win, but I don't think it's going to come easy. It's going to be a real interesting game.
I have to agree. I think it'll be a very close game. Definitely, I think at least under 4 goals, sort of a 3-1 maybe range. And in doing so, this is a veteran Quinnipiac team. You look in the net with Eric Hartzell where it starts, a senior. Your top defensive pairing, your captain included in that, are seniors as well. Your top goal scorer and your top points scorer, and Jeremy Langlois, is also a senior. This is a team that won the Heroes hat their freshman year, lost it their sophomore year, and then last year with the tie, technically were not able to regain it back. So this is a team who sort of, I still think, has a chip on their shoulder from now they have gotten the #1 ranking, but still feel that they have more recognition to earn in the country, and in doing so, they're going to want to go out on their last home weekend of the regular season with a bang in a huge environment. And we talked about on the radio show yesterday, I think this may be the best 2.5-hour PSA for Quinnipiac University ever. So it should be quite the environment Friday and even all week this week with Spirit Week.
All right, more Jay-Z, bring us home, and I'll give you final thoughts after that.
The thing I just want to mention is it's phenomenal. We're #1 in the nation, but the thing is, this game, even if we were the 50th best team in the nation, this would have been a hot ticket being on national TV. And I don't think people are realizing, like, when Matthias, Mark, and I were freshmen, they had that #4 ranking, and then by the time they got to the Yale game, they had sort of fallen off a little. But we are still #1 in the nation, still riding that high. I don't think that's pointed out enough. It's going to be a big game because it's a Yale, but just the environment that it's in is just going to be incredible. I want to see how many Yale fans actually can get a ticket into the game, because the tickets are just ridiculous on StubHub right now. So I want to see how the environment is going to be with Yale fans versus Quinnipiac fans, and what are they going to do to turn people away. But it's just going to be too incredible to speak about.
All right, like I said, we do have an abbreviated Bobcat Blitz today because all 5 of us are members of the QBSN intramural basketball team, Halfway Decent. We're looking for our first win of the year at 7:30. So we're going to wrap it up here. Before we do, just want to put in my final thoughts on the Yale game. I think what Mike said is exactly right. No matter where the Bobcats are ranked, this is always a big game, especially since it's on national TV. When it came out before the season even started that this game was going to be nationally televised, people were a little iffy outside of the New Haven area. Oh, these are, Quinnipiac, not exactly known to be one of the top 10 programs in college hockey. Yale's been getting there over the past couple of years. But now that the Bobcats are the #1 team in the nation and Yale is the #13 team in the nation, this game is going to be crazy. If you don't have a ticket, channel 68 on campus, watch the game. If you were lucky enough to get a ticket, get there early. Fans are trying to get into this, get a good seat, because it's not guaranteed you get a seat in the student section even if you have a ticket. So my advice to all the freshmen out there is get there when you can get there as early as you can. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us here on Bobcat Blitz. If you don't already follow us on Twitter, do follow us on Twitter at Q30 Sports, and you should also follow QBSN at QBSN. And please tweet at Q30 Sports. Which panelist did you like the most? And please don't be afraid to vote for the host as well. I was the only one to vote for the host last week. So again, that's at Q30 Sports. Tweet your favorite panelists: Mike Morjesi, Mark Schwartz, Nick Dench, or Matthias Gauss. For all these 4 gentlemen, for the gentleman behind the scenes, I'm Zach Daly. Thank you for joining us today.